Building a 1960s supercar encompasses most of my thoughts. As I get ready for my day each morning, I think about all the aspects of this car so far. I mean, we took a Boxster that was destined for the junkyard, crammed a V8 into it, extended the wheelbase, and now figuring out the design is just a lot of work. So as I head out the door and reflect upon last week's work where we got the tubing in the rear end a little bit further, I think about this week. The plan is to get the tubing finished and we can begin skinning the rear end in aluminum. Or is it aluminum? I don't really know anymore. But just as I was pulling up to the shop, I realized there might be a bit of a bump in the road.
We are down to our last piece of 1/2-inch tubing. We ordered some last week. It came in on Friday. We picked it up today. Oh, what a difference a digit makes.
I think everything has been against us in this build so far.
Not everything, but enough.
What mirror did you break? Any ladders you walked under lately?
So yeah, we gotta wait for another order to come in.
That throws a big wrench in our plans because we were gonna try to finish on most of the tubing in the rear end of the car this week. However, that means we could work on something else that's a little bit more exciting. This is a headlight from a Porsche 911, the 993 generation. And what we'd like to do is to fit this headlight somewhere in this area on Jigsaw's nose.
We chose this headlight because of the oval shape and because the rake of the lens better matches the rake of the front of the car.
You're probably already thinking to yourself, Ryan, this rake does not match the rake of the car. Well, that's because we're going to do pop-up headlights. The Lamborghini Miura, which is a 60s car, had pop-up headlights, and we're building a 1960s inspired car, so it's within the realm of possibilities. Pop-up headlights present a problem in their own, however. When this headlight pops up, the backside here of the light may potentially be an issue with collision on the body, but we'll figure that out here in a little bit.
Imminent collision detected.
All that being said, the very first step that we need to figure out is where the heck we're gonna fit these headlights in the nose of Jigsaw and have it still look pretty good. Let's get started.
This light kind of looks like a robot head. This is my new robot, and I'm gonna name him Ryan. Hi, Ryan.
Good morning, Tony. How can I assist you today?
Assist me? You don't want to fly helicopters into my head or throw things at me?
Why in the world would I do that? I only want to make your life better.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, you're getting too close to me, buddy.
I love my new robot.
I hate it here so much. Many, many weeks ago,
Months.
people will call them months, I think, we 3D printed these little circles, and they were supposed to be the footprint of a 993 headlight, and I'd say they're pretty close. I think what we can do is reuse these to figure out the layout for our headlights in the front and punch some holes.
Yep.
Give me directions.
Oh.
Lower, higher, left, right.
Just drop it right there. Twist it slightly clockwise. Right, stop. All right. Move your
Drop
hands.
it right here.
Move your hands.
You like I didn't drop it?
Go counterclockwise just a hair more. Okay. Move. Get it out of the way. You're laying across the fender.
The way you have it now, it looks like you just grabbed like someone's face and went smoosh.
About to do it to your face.
That's a little better. I mean, they're not equal to each other.
No, they're not.
But we'll start with one.
I mean, we can keep two.
Look at one at a time.
It works better when there's two.
If they're completely symmetrical, sure. Hey, stop that.
Don't look at that one.
Inside.
Camera one, camera two. Camera one, camera two. Camera one, camera two.
This is gonna be tougher than I thought it was going to be.
There.
Sorry, there's a bead roller in the way. Move your lower hand, like out of the way, yeah. Pretty close. I'd say up a little bit. We should probably measure.
I think that's it. What do you think?
Yeah. Let's cut it. This video has been paid for and sponsored by Surfshark. Surfshark is a VPN, or virtual private network. Surfshark can hide your IP address, mask it under a different one, and you can do whatever you want without being tracked. Have you ever noticed when you go to book like a trip on a website, you'll get a certain price, and then you go back the next day after you talk to your spouse about doing that, and then suddenly that price is a lot more expensive? That's because that website cached your IP address and it knows who you are, and they're like, well, you're gonna spend the extra money now because you've already got that trip approved. With a VPN, you don't have to worry about that because they're not gonna know who you were the first time or the second time you visit that website. Surfshark has over 3,200 servers in over 100 countries. Surfshark also has other neat products like Surfshark Alert, which will notify you when your personal information has been leaked. Secure your privacy with Surfshark. Enter coupon code Crucible for 4 months extra at surfshark.com/crucible. And don't worry, if you find out that Surfshark is not for you, they offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. Big thanks to Surfshark for sponsoring this video. Sponsorships like this keep our channel rolling. Let's get back to work. We're done!
This is not what we discussed.
Go away!
Dude, that looks awesome. Usually I can imagine things pretty well, but that's even better than I imagined.
Hi-ya! Wow. That was not supposed to happen. Hi-ya! Yeah! Just like that. That easy. One try. We've officially located the headlights in the car itself, so step 1 is officially complete.
Now it's time for step 2, headlight movement. We've got to get this headlight to move from form to function so it's lighting up the road down ahead and not the airplanes in the sky or the owls. The biggest problem is the way this headlight is configured from the factory. The body of the headlight comes straight back from the headlight lens. And so when we try and flip forward, it's going to want to hit on the body there. We're not going to have this dumb tab here because these were mounted in a race car. But also, we have some more modern projector lights that we can put in here that are lower profile. We can cut away some of this housing so that hopefully it will clear as the headlight tips up. If we grab, again, this more modern projector, if you go from the lens back, it's a good bit smaller than what's in there. So we're going to take this out, pop this in, and then figure how much of the housing here we can cut away so that we're not running into the fender with the light as it pops up. Race car stuff. Ryan.
What happened?
So I untaped this connector, figure out how much of the factory stuff was left in there. You love this. Female spade terminal and ring terminal.
That really was a race car part. They used whatever they had at the track that day, it sounds like.
Yep.
Between that and the plug that was urethane shut.
Yep.
Smart TV.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't need that.
And our homemade aluminum brackets that probably bolted up to like fiberglass fenders or something. Oh. Where does the tape start? Where does it end? Let's see if we got another ring terminal. Oh yeah, we do, buddy. Yeah, it's ring terminal. There you go. Perfect.
How are we gonna mount the new projectors in there?
Yeah, we gotta figure that out. The same company that made that light, Morimoto, they make a set of headlights that bolt right into a 993, but they're probably a little too modern in the design as far as what they look like aesthetically to be used in this application.
Yeah. Morimoto makes great lighting things. We're not sponsored by them. In fact, we bought these parts. So, however, they're still great. While Tony's taking apart that light and I'm waiting around, if in case you ever wondered, so a projector like this, you know how there's like low beam, high beam? It's the same light, but there's actually a physical like eyelid inside there that moves up and down that blocks part of the light for the low beam, high beam, which I think is the coolest thing ever. It's like a mechanical analog input. Yeah, it fits in there pretty well, actually.
Yeah, bring that right up to there. It's an 1.25 inches shorter, but the other big thing is it's got a lot more clearance this way. So we have a lot more space with the top light. This is our new one versus the old light. Because we're not bolting it into a 993 fender, we should be able to cut a good bit of this plastic out and give us the clearance that we need. So we're just gonna get this temporarily mounted in there because we love temporary.
I like how the projector's the same size, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think the lens is.
Let's see in some better days. They're about the same size, it looks like.
So we have all of this space once we cut this out of there with just that light bulb in there. I think that will be plenty. How much do we cut away? Sometimes it just melts back together, so you gotta cut more than once. Closer. All right, so I still need more clearance. These plastic posts here were for the old light, so they can go, it won't be a problem. And I need to take more away from this side here. See how far we have to go. A little bit at a time. So that's the angle they got to get to. We're starting to get down into the adjustment mechanism, so I've got to figure our way forward from that. So I've trimmed off the top of this light and got it to the point where it will come up about this far, which isn't as far as I want to go. But what I've run into is I'm not running into the light bulb like we were talking about, but I'm running into this, and this is where all the adjustment happens for the headlight. That's one of the reasons we want to retain this in the first place, is all the factory features that are built into this. It's already engineered, so we're trying not to cut into this. And so I think it's time to move on to another method of engineering.
So what we need to figure out is the point of articulation on the light. Holding it up in an empty space and going like this works for roughing it in, but not for the actual final product, especially if we want to cut that hole and make it bigger and figure out clearance issues. I came up with a way to figure out the solution. What I'd like to do is 3D scan this light, put that data on the computer, and come up with a carrier that bolts to the outside of the light that has tons of different little holes in it, or different points of articulation. Then have a bracket that goes around it that can pin to it, and it can hinge off of that. And then that whole assembly, we can bolt to the body of the car and have it be in a fixed position. That will allow us to figure out if this light will work in that space, or if we need to design a whole new light assembly for this lens. A little bit of 3D scanning spray. There we go, we got our mesh. Looks like it got all the information we needed. So now let's go on the computer and spend a couple hours on this bad boy. That came up very nicely. Like I said, I really just need this point on both sides, and then the underside here. So we're good to go. Let's throw it in Fusion and see what we can do. The idea is to have the outer piece here, the one that's selected, be like the base it pins off of. And then this bracket that bolts to the headlight itself is what attaches to the U-shaped bracket. And then there's tons of little tiny holes in it. And these holes, in theory, should give us a lot of adjustability on where we can use this as a fulcrum for the headlight tipping up and down. So I'm gonna slice these files and we're gonna pop them on the 3D printers, let them print overnight. And hopefully tomorrow morning, it won't be a spaghetti mess of plastic that we walk into, and instead some beautiful brackets. So our part's finished printing overnight. Look how nicely this fits on there. Bam. Doesn't even wiggle side to side. First try, baby. That's a rare one. So the idea is we put both brackets on either side here to sandwich onto the headlight, and then we'll glue the center to each other or melt it with the soldering iron so they're nice and square, and it traps it on the headlight. And then after we do that, we'll be able to put it in our little, I don't know what to call this. What do you call this? Seesaw?
Sure.
Then after that, we'll turn it into a seesaw by nestling the headlight within our apparatus here. Then we can choose what hole we want. We can move up and down, all around town here, and pick our articulation points. But first, let's get the melting. But the best part about our hinge is, so it, like, I picked this point as the lowest point to hinge from, right? But say that doesn't work because you get the most movement up here. What I can do is pull the bolt out, put the bolt in a different spot. And now we have a different fulcrum in a completely different spot to change the articulation.
All right, we spent the time, we got them located, set these headlights into the front end, completely transformed the look of this car, but now we have to go from form to function, and we need to make them pop.
So now that our apparatus is made, we have a different problem. Our headlights are the exact same size as the hole, so we can't actually do the function it needs to do. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna trim off about 5 millimeters the whole way around to make some clearance. At this point in the video, or even earlier on, you probably have begun wondering why we're cutting the hole back and not leaving material to flange. That's because whatever we end up making to be the edge of the opening, whether we have the scallop part of it or whatever, is going to be an additional piece that we make, and we cut this back even further and weld in here. We decided to do that because if we tried to like just flange as we go, we're going to destroy this panel, and we don't have any like leeway for experimentation. So
the plane of this should be about 55 degrees when the headlight is in its operating position.
If we're gonna have the projector beam be the exact same angle it was originally.
Which I think ideally that's what it should be, but if we have to make adjustments, we can.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's it right there.
Too far,
and actually, it doesn't look bad. I kind of like that because this doesn't pick up super high up top.
Right. So we're really liking this motion for the headlight. The bottom of the headlight drops down, but the one thing that causes is for the headlight to sit a little bit behind the body. So we want to create a scallop in the shape of the nose here that will allow the light to pass through.
And the other thing we need to do, we need to actually make this be a mechanism that is motorized, fully contained, and functions correctly. This, of course, was purely just a jig and not the final product. So the headlight location's figured out, the movement is figured out. Check back later for when we get the rest figured out.
Ryan, say the thing. Say the thing.
Thanks for hanging out in the shop with us.